Question 1. The growing trend in home inspection practices includes the increasing use of drone technology to assess roofing conditions. What is the primary ethical and legal concern that an inspector must address before using a drone for a roof inspection in a densely populated neighborhood? A. Ensuring the property owner has purchased drone insurance coverage before use. B. Confirming that the drone model is approved by the FAR for commercial use. C. Obtaining homeowner consent and FAR Part 107 certification to operate the drone commercially. D. Requesting permission from neighbors adjacent to the property being inspected. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Under FAR Part 107, all commercial drone operators, including home inspectors, must hold a remote pilot certificate. Additionally, ethically, inspectors must obtain informed consent from the homeowner before flying a drone over their property. ASHI and INTERNACHI codes of ethics require respect for client property and privacy. Flying without certification or permission may constitute unauthorized surveillance or negligence, exposing the inspector to liability. Question 2. In a context of structural inspections, what is the most appropriate course of action when an inspector encounters horizontal cracking along the mid-height of a basement wall in a concrete block foundation? A. Recommend cosmetic repair using epoxy filler. B. Advise immediate replacement of the affected wall. C. Recommend evaluation by a structural engineer due to potential lateral earth pressure issues. D. Defer the finding to the seller for disclosure in the property report. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Horizontal cracks in concrete block walls at mid-height often indicate hydrostatic pressure or soil lateral force, which can compromise structural integrity. Per INTERNACHI SOP SS.2. C and ASHI SOP Section 4.2, inspectors must recommend further evaluation when structural integrity is in question. Cosmetic repair is inappropriate and could constitute negligence if the issue worsens. Question 3. When evaluating the merits of different insulation materials in an attic, which of the following R-value combinations would be considered deficient under the 2021 International Energy Conservation Code for a home located in Climate Zone 5? A. Fiberglass bats with R38 and sealed vapor barrier. B. Cellulose loose fill with R49. C. Spray foam insulation with R60. D. Mineral wool with R19 and no air sealing. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. The 2021 AG requires R49 minimum attic insulation for homes in Climate Zone 5. R19 is significantly below standard and provides inadequate thermal resistance. The absence of air sealing further reduces performance. Inspectors must evaluate both R-value and air barrier effectiveness. Deficiency in either can result in excessive heat loss and condensation issues, violating thermal boundary expectations per ASHI and INTERNACHI guidelines. Question 4. A critical examination of site grading around a property reveals that the soil slopes toward the foundation rather than away. What is the potential long-term implication if this is not corrected, and how should it be reported? A. Increased lawn erosion. Report as minor maintenance item. B. Possible pest intrusion. Report with minimal concern. C. Likelihood of foundation water intrusion. Report as a significant drainage issue. D. Risk of landscape overgrowth. Recommend routine gardening. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Grading should slope away from the structure at a minimum 6 inches within the first 10 feet per R.3 and EPA guidelines. Poor grading causes surface water pooling, leading to foundation saturation, hydrostatic pressure, and even structural settlement. ASHI SOP 4.1 requires inspectors to report drainage issues with potential to affect structural components. Downplaying this could result in client harm and liability. Question 5. Under the assumption that a home inspector is inspecting an older home built in 1955 with no visible ground wires at receptacles, which is the most appropriate recommendation? A. Suggest immediate rewiring of the entire home to modern code. B. Confirm it's acceptable since grounding was not required in 1955. C. Recommend further evaluation and labeling of ungrounded receptacles as required by NEC. D. No recommendation is needed unless arcing is present. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Per the National Electrical Code, NEC 406.4d, ungrounded three-prong receptacles must either be replaced with two-prong types or labeled "No equipment ground" if left as is. Inspectors are not code enforcers, but must identify safety issues and report them under ASHI SOP Section 7. Immediate rewiring may not be feasible, but recommending evaluation helps protect the client from shock or fire hazards. Question 6. During the process of evaluating a roof Istalotas, a licensed inspector walks across a visibly soft area in the sheathing and hears cracking noises. Which action best aligns with professional standards? A. Continue walking but document the damage later. B. Mark the spot with chalk and finish the roof inspection. C. Cease walking the roof and recommend evaluation by a roofing specialist. D. Cover the area temporarily with plywood to continue the inspection. Answer. Correct answer, C. Explanation. Walking on soft or compromised sheathing poses full risk and can worsen the damage. ASHI SOP Section 6.2. B.2 allows inspectors to disclaim unsafe conditions. Continuing could be considered negligent. The inspector must stop and recommend further evaluation. Documenting and deferring is best practice and reduces personal liability and risk of causing further structural compromise. Question 7. The effectiveness of water heaters is assessed not only by capacity but also by performance metrics. In what situation would a 40-gallon tank-type gas water heater be considered functionally deficient? A. The recovery rate is 35 gallons per hour. B. The TP valve is missing. C. The temperature setting is at 120. D. It has copper piping on both cold and hot lines. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. The temperature and pressure TP relief valve is a mandatory safety feature required by OSA P80361 that prevents explosions from excessive pressure buildup. Its absence is a critical safety concern. The tank's capacity, recovery rate, and piping material are performance-related but not automatically defect. ASHI and INTERNACHI standards require inspectors to report missing safety devices as immediate safety hazards. Question 8. Considering the evidence found in Istabanerjee's garage, the inspector notes the fire-rated door separates the garage from the home interior but lacks self-closing mechanism. What should be the inspector's response under modern building standards? A. No action required since the door is fire-rated. B. Report it as deficient and recommend retrofitting with self-closing device. C. Suggest upgrading to steel door with no window. D. Defer to the local fire department for inspection. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Modern ERR 0251 requires garage to house doors to be fire-rated and self-closing. A fire-rated door without a closing mechanism can allow toxic gases or flames to enter living space. While retroactive enforcement isn't the inspector's role, it must be reported as a fire safety deficiency. ASHI SOP 5.2 includes garage inspections for safety separations, suggesting fire department referral is outside scope. Question 9. A key distinction between different types of deck flashing is the material compatibility with treated wood. What is the most appropriate flashing material to recommend when inspecting a new deck attached to press-treated lumber? A. Aluminum flashing. B. Galvanized steel. C. Copper flashing without barrier. E. PVC or stainless steel flashing. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Press-treated wood contains corrosive chemicals, e.g. which react with metals like aluminum or bare copper. Flashing must be non-corrosive, such as PVC-coated or stainless steel. ERR.8. Improper flashing leads to structural failure. The ledger board, a critical connection point. Inspectors must identify compatible materials as potential safety hazards per ASHI SOP 422. Question 10. In light of recent developments in energy efficiency standards, which of the following window conditions should an inspector report as a potential energy concern and recommend further evaluation? A. Single-pane aluminum windows with missing weather stripping. B. Double-pane wood windows with intact glazing and cork. C. Triple-pane vinyl windows with lowy coating. D. Fiberglass windows with visible gas fill certificate. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Single-pane aluminum windows are thermally inefficient and prone to heat loss and condensation. Missing weather stripping worsens air infiltration. Modern standards Energy Star and IKE favor double or triple-pane low-E gas-filled units. ASHI SOP 5.2 requires inspectors to report defective or obsolete components affecting efficiency. While not a code violation, this represents reduced energy performance and should be noted. Question 11. Under the assumption that Ms. Ramirez is inspecting a home with a crawl space that exhibits a strong musty odor and visible mold growth on the joists, what is the most appropriate next step for her to recommend to the client? A. Recommend immediate removal of all mold using bleach and repainting the joists. B. Advise installation of a vapor barrier on the crawl space floor and improved ventilation. C. Suggest encapsulating the crawl space without addressing existing moisture sources. D. Report no issues since a mold presence is typical in crawl spaces. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. According to INTERNACHI Mold Inspection SOP and EPA guidelines, mold growth is primarily due to excessive moisture. The best practice is to address moisture sources first by installing a vapor barrier and enhancing ventilation to reduce humidity below 60%. Simply removing mold or encapsulating without moisture control leads to recurrence. Bleach is not recommended for porous materials as it doesn't mold roots. Ignoring mold or dismissing it can expose occupants to health risks and legal liabilities. Question 12. Given the circumstances where Mr. Thompson observes several missing shingles and curling at the edges on an asphalt shingle roof, what is the most accurate evaluation and recommendation? A. The roof has cosmetic issues only. No immediate action is required. B. The damage indicates potential wind uplift vulnerability. Recommend evaluation by a roofing contractor. C. Replace the entire roof immediately due to code violations. D. Suggest patching only the visible damaged areas to prolong roof life. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Curling and missing shingles are signs of aging and wind damage, increasing the risk of further water intrusion and roof failure. According to INTERNACHI standards of practice and manufacturer warranties, such damage compromises roof integrity and wind resistance. Immediate full replacement is not always necessary, but expert evaluation is warranted. Cosmetic-only assessment ignores potential structural concerns. Patching alone is often temporary and may void warranties. Question 13. In terms of electrical safety, Mr. Nguyen finds several extension cords permanently installed behind the basement panel, supplying multiple devices. How should this observation be handled in his report? A. Note it as a code-compliant temporary wiring method. B. Recommend evaluation by a licensed electrician due to potential fire hazard and code violation. C. Ignore it since extension cords are common and safe if not overloaded. D. Suggest installing additional outlets without mentioning the cords. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Permanent use of extension cords as wiring violates NEC 400.8 and is a fire hazard due to potential overheating, damage, and improper connections. Home inspectors should identify and report such conditions per ASHI SOP for electrical systems, recommending evaluation by a licensed electrician helps mitigate risks and ensures code compliance. Ignoring or minimizing the issue is negligent, risks client safety. Question 14. During an inspection of Mr. O'Connor's home built in the 1980s, the inspector notes that the main water shutoff valve is corroded and difficult to operate. Which of the following best reflects the appropriate inspector recommendation? A. Replace the valve only if leak develops. B. Recommend the client have qualified plumber replace or service the valve promptly. C. Suggest lubricating the valve annually to maintain operability. D. Do nothing as the valve condition is typical for the home's age. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. The main shut-off valve is critical in emergencies for stopping water flow. Corrosion can cause valve failure or leaks, violating INTERNACHI's plumbing inspection SOP and basic safety principles. Timely replacement or servicing by professional reduces risk of water damage. Waiting for leaks or deferring maintenance may cause extensive property damage and increases liability if ignored. Question 15. The fundamental question is, when inspecting A furnace with a cracked heat exchanger. What is the inspector's responsibility and recommendation under current professional standards? A. Repair the crack if it is small and not leaking carbon monoxide. B. Recommend immediate furnace replacement due to safety hazard. C. Monitor the crack over time and report any changes during future inspections. D. No action is required as cracks are common in older furnaces. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. A cracked heat exchanger is a serious carbon monoxide leak risk and presents an immediate safety hazard. Per ASHI standards of practice and code of ethics, inspectors must recommend immediate replacement or professional evaluation by a qualified HVAC technician. Repairing cracks is unsafe and often prohibited by manufacturers and codes. Ignoring the defect risks occupant health and potential legal repercussions. Question 16. From a practical standpoint, Isley observes that the handrails on a staircase have balusters spaced approximately 6 inches apart. How should she assess and report this condition? A. It complies with all applicable safety standards and no concerns. B. Balusters spaced more than 4 inches apart pose a safety hazard and should be reported. C. Only report if balusters are loose or damaged. D. Recommend complete handrail removal for safety. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Building codes such as the International Residential Code or R12113 require balusters to be spaced so a 4-inch sphere cannot pass through, preventing small children from falling. Balusters spaced 6 inches apart violate this and represent a fall hazard. Inspectors must report such conditions per ASHI SOP and advise correction. Removing the entire handrail is unnecessary. Repairing or balusters is standard. Question 17. Considering the evidence, Mr. Patel finds the electrical panel lacks proper grounding and bonding connections. What is the significance of this and how should it be documented? A. Grounding is optional if breakers function correctly. B. Lack of grounding and bonding increases shock risk and violates NEC. Recommend licensed electrician evaluation. C. It is acceptable in homes built before 2000. D. Recommend only if the client complains of electrical shocks. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Proper grounding and bonding are fundamental for electrical safety, preventing shock and fire hazards. NEC Articles 250.4 and 250.24 mandate grounding of panels and bonding of neutral and ground conductors. Inspectors are required to report missing or defective grounding per ASHI SOP Section 7. Deferring action or conditional reporting risks liability and Question 18. Based on the information from an attic inspection, where visible water stains and rust are noted around metal ductwork seams, what is the most probable cause and recommended action? A. Condensation due to inadequate insulation. Recommend adding insulation and sealing ducts. B. Roof leaks causing water infiltration. Suggest roof repair only. C. Normal aging signs that do not require action. D. Recommend immediate replacement of HVAC system. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Rust and stains on ductwork commonly result from condensation caused by temperature differentials and poor insulation. Per ASHI attic inspection SOP, duct sealing and insulation minimize moisture accumulation. Roof leaks would cause water stains on ceiling materials, not just duct seams. Replacing the entire HVAC system is not warranted solely on this observation. Question 19. While examining a gas water heater, Johnson notes the vent pipe has several unsealed joints and lacks proper pitch. What risk does this pose and what should the inspector recommend? A. No risk. Vent pipes do not require sealing. B. Risk of carbon monoxide backdrafting. Recommend sealing joints and verifying proper pitch per manufacturer instructions. C. Risk of water leaks. It suggests waterproofing the vent pipe. D. Recommend upgrading to electric water heater. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Unsealed vent joints and improper pitch can allow combustion gases, including carbon monoxide, to leak back into the home, creating a deadly hazard. The International Fuel Gas Code (IFC) and manufacturer specs require sealed, properly pitched vent systems for safe exhaust. Inspectors must report defects and recommend licensed professional repair. No plumbing or water-related concerns apply here. Question 20. In an effort to maintain professionalism, Mr. Kim discovers a conflict of interest as he is asked to inspect a property owned by his close relative. According to industry ethical standards, what should he do? A. Proceed with the inspection but disclose the relationship in the report. B. Refuse the inspection to maintain impartiality and avoid liability. C. Accept the inspection and provide a discounted service. D. Have another inspector perform the inspection but sign off himself. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. ASHI and INTRNACHI codes of ethics emphasize impartiality and avoiding conflicts of interest, inspecting a relative's property risks, biased reporting, and legal exposure if issues arise. Refusing or referring to neutral party preserves professional integrity and client trust. Disclosure alone is often insufficient to mitigate conflicts. Discounting or signing off without direct involvement is unethical and unlawful. Question 21. From a historical standpoint, Mr. Alvarez is asked to inspect a newly constructed addition. Which of the following best describes his primary responsibility regarding compliance with local building codes during the inspection? A. Verify every detail against the full building code and issue a code compliance certificate. B. Identify visible deviations from recognized standards of practice and recommend further evaluation if necessary. C. Confirm that the permit was properly obtained and the local authority performed inspections. D. Approve the construction if it looks safe and finished. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Home inspectors operate under ASHI SOP and INTRNACHI SOP, which require identifying visible defects and deviations from industry standards. Not enforcing every local code provision, they must note apparent nonconformities, e.g., missing fire blocking, improper flashing, and recommend evaluation by specialists or authorities. Issuing a code compliance certificate or verifying permits exceeds their scope and can expose the inspector to legal liability under professional liability (EO) policies. Question 22. When considering industry standards, Foster finds that the client's contract references ASHI standards, but she performs the inspection per INTRNACHI guidelines. What is the most appropriate action? A. Proceed with INTRNACHI SOP and ignore the contract wording. B. Inform the client of the discrepancy and perform the inspection to meet the contracted standard. C. Charge extra to cover both standards. D. Cancel the inspection and refund the fee. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Contracts create a legally binding agreement regarding standards to follow according to professional conduct guidelines. The inspector must clarify and fulfill the client's expectations. If the contract specifies ASHI, the inspector should perform per ASHI SOP or renegotiate. Failing to do so risks breach of contract and potential EO claims. Charging extra or ignoring terms is unethical and could violate the code ethics. Question 23. To what extent does an errors and omissions EO policy protect an inspector who unintentionally omits a concealed defect that later causes damage? A. Fully covers all liabilities regardless of negligence level. B. Covers defense costs and settlements for claims of negligence within policy limits. C. Only covers fraud or intentional misconduct. D. Does not apply to structural defects. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. EO insurance typically covers claims alleging negligent acts, errors, or omissions up to policy limits, including legal defense costs and settlements. It does not cover intentional wrongdoing or gross negligence. Inspectors must understand policy coverage limits, deductibles, and exclusions to manage legal liability under risk management best practices. Question 24. Illustrated by Ista Singh's new business launch, which marketing strategy aligns best with ethical and effective client acquisition for home inspection service? A. Promising code compliance certificates to guarantee sale closures. B. Offering complimentary vegetation trimming with every inspection. C. Developing an educational seminar series for real estate agents. D. Distributing anonymous negative reviews about competitors. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Ethical marketing involves value-added education without misrepresentation. Offering seminars demonstrates expertise and builds trust, aligning with INTRNACHI marketing guidelines. Promising code certificates misleads clients and exceeds scope. Bundling unrelated services, vegetation trimming confuses scope. Attacking competitors violates the code of ethics and risks defamation claims. Question 25. Considering the evidence found in Ispark's inspection, she struggles to organize extensive notes. According to report writing best practices, what approach should she adopt? A. Write narrative report with all observations in chronological order. B. Use standardized template with clear headings, photos, and concise findings. C. Record only major defects to save time. D. Send handwritten notes to the client for authenticity. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Effective reports follow a consistent template: introduction, scope, system sections, summary with clear headings, annotated photos, and concise descriptions per InterNACHI report writing guidelines. This format improves client comprehension and reduces liability. Narratives without structure can confuse readers. Omitting minor issues risks future claims. Handwritten notes are unprofessional and illegible. Question 26. In what ways can a slab-on-grade foundation be more susceptible to thermal bridges compared to a basement foundation, and how should an inspector report potential energy loss? A. Slabs with no insulation report thermal bridging only if cracks appear. B. Edge insulation gaps create bridging. Recommend evaluation of rim joist and perimeter insulation. C. Basements always perform worse. No action needed for slabs. D. Thermal bridging is negligible in slabs. Focus only on moisture issues. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Slab-on-grade foundations can lose heat at the perimeter where insulation may be omitted or displaced, creating thermal bridges. The I-Kaneshie thermal boundaries SOP recommend inspecting edge insulation and rim joist treatments. Reporting should note missing or inadequate insulation, which can lead to higher energy costs and condensation issues. Focusing solely on cracks overlooks energy performance concerns. Question 27. Throughout the course of evaluating exterior walls, Istabrenner notes improper step flashing at a window-to-wall intersection on a stucco-clad home. What is the appropriate recommendation? A. Reapply stucco over the flashing to seal the joint. B. Install galvanized drip edge above the window. C. Replace step flashing with corrosion-resistant metal per manufacturer instructions. D. Ignore since stucco is waterproof. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Step flashing directs water away from window openings. Improper or missing flashing in stucco walls leads to water intrusion, rot, and mold. InterNACHI exterior wall SOP and manufacturer guidelines e.g. Astomy require corrosion-resistant metals such as copper or stainless steel with proper integration. But B. Stucco alone is not an adequate water barrier, ignoring the defect risks structural damage. Question 20. Evidence suggests that the garage door's torsion spring assembly in Ision's inspection is making metal-to-metal grinding noises. Which of the following best describes the inspector's recommendation? A. Lubricate the springs and monitor noise levels. B. Recommend immediate replacement of the torsion springs by qualified technician. C. Tighten the spring winding cones to reduce noise. D. Suggest the client ignore it if the door still functions. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Torsion springs store significant energy. A grinding indicates wear or misalignment, posing a serious safety hazard if a spring fails. According to InterNACHI Giro SOP, inspectors should recommend professional replacement immediately. Lubrication or tightening may be temporary fixes but do not eliminate risk of spring breakage and potential injury or property damage. Question 29. When analyzing the condition of a chimney in Ista Ramirez's report, the inspector finds efflorescence on the interior flue tile. What does this indicate and what should be recommended? A. Indicates moisture migration through masonry. Recommend chimney cap inspection and waterproofing. B. Suggest painting flue tiles to cover efflorescence. C. Report as cosmetic staining with no safety concern. D. Recommend immediate repointing of all exterior mortar joints. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Efflorescence results from water-soluble salts migrating through masonry indicating moisture intrusion. It can lead to spalling brick and compromise chimney integrity. Inspectors following Chimney Safety Institute of America (CSIR) guidelines should recommend checking the cap, crown, flashing, and applying appropriate waterproofing. Painting flue tiles is unsafe. Repointing may help but doesn't address the root cause. Question 30. Despite the fact that AFSs are required in many areas, Inspector Davis notes the absence of offside protection in bedroom circuits. Under the neck, what is the correct finding and recommendation? AFSs are optional enhancements and note as no deficiency. B. Required in bedrooms per neck 210.12. Recommend installation of offside breakers or receptacles. C. Only GA KISS are required, so no action. D. Suggest installing smoke alarms instead. Answer. Correct answer, B. Explanation. The NEC 210.12 mandates arc fault circuit interrupters for bedroom branch circuits to prevent electrical fires from arcing faults. Inspectors must report missing offside protection as a safety hazard per ASHI electrical SOP. G for SIS protect against shock, not arc faults. The smoke alarms address fire detection, not prevention. Compliance recommendation reduces fire risk.